I have been playing just a little game. You've heard of a little game called Dead Cells?
Yeah, it's like this roguelike that I think a lot of people like. I don't know.
It's pretty good. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've been playing Dead Cells, but not just vanilla Dead Cells. I've been playing the Return to Castlevania DLC.
Ooh. How
Which
is that?
so if you don't know, just to quickly recap, Dead Cells is a roguelite that launched a couple of years ago. Real good, and it has received a lot of DLC over the years. The latest of which ties into Konami's beloved franchise Castlevania, and it is really good. Like, I mean, in terms of the gameplay loop, it doesn't change too much. It's
Yeah.
still the base game of Dead Cells. You're running around, collecting cells, getting blueprints for weapons, unlocking them, and then using them to get further. But what the DLC does is adds a whole lot of things from Castlevania. So be that weapons or enemies or even locales from the franchise. Even music, let me tell you, the music in this DLC absolutely slaps.
Oh my god.
It's good.
That's like sold me already.
Yeah,
just
that
like
alone.
the Symphony of the Night music is so good. So a reimagining of that, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just I haven't beat the old Count himself, so at the end of the DLC, you're gonna fight Dracula because I haven't I'm stubborn. I haven't lowered the difficulty. I'm playing on where I left off, so I've had to like relearn the game, come to terms with how it feels. But I'll get there. I've made it to, I'd say maybe halfway through a run, and there's just stuff I still need to unlock. But
Okay.
I don't know. I know you didn't really vibe with Dead. Well, you like Dead Cells, but you didn't vibe with it as much as I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I really can't pinpoint what it is about it, but I've tried to get into Dead Cells multiple times, and each time I'm just like, I don't know. It doesn't click with me. I'm like playing, I'm defeating some bosses, and I'm just like, don't want to do another run. I don't know. I've heard it's become a lot easier since launch. They've like tweaked the difficulty.
I think, yeah. So I remember back in the day, it was I don't know if how true this is, but I think it was a bit negligible. Your upgrades were a bit negligible because while you got stronger, your enemies just sort of ramped up with you. Whereas I think they've sort of rebalanced that and like, no, you're getting more health, you're doing more damage, etc. So you can 100% do like a glass cannon build where you can like one shot things. And like to be honest, depending on the sort of build you're going for, you'll probably one shot a lot of things regardless. But there's something about this game, like playing the DLC. So just for context, I haven't touched any of the other DLC. Like I played Dead Cells on launch. I've dipped back in a couple times over the years just to get my fill. I don't know how this compares to the other DLCs, but as far as being a classic love letter to the Castlevania franchise, it is really good. It's like to the point where I hear the music, I'm like, man, I should replay Symphony of the Night.
Yes.
And there's also a lot of neat little Easter eggs or things that maybe only people who have played Castlevania games will pick up on, but they're just really nice to stumble upon. So, for example, I found a room the other day, which is basically, it was the, Symphony of the Night. It's got that save diamond or symbol.
Yes. The like, it's like a casket.
Yeah, almost, I found it, and your character says something interesting, but you can't do anything with it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I know what this is referencing.
The writing in Dead Cells has always been kind of witty, like
it's real fun. Yeah, I mean,
the sarcastic nature of the main character is quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, even there's a story set up where it's like you bump into Richter, and he's like, "Oh hey, I need to take down this dude." Then you bump into Alucard. He's like, "Oh yeah, we need to take down my father." But it's obviously told in a very witty manner. Yeah. And to your point, when you stumble onto these little side rooms or Easter eggs, like the writing, you can tell the devs had a lot of fun. And what's quite cool is I did some reading. Like Castlevania was a huge inspiration for like base Dead Cells.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite cool to see that it's some sort of come full circle where the devs did get that I don't know who approached who, but there was a conversation with Konami and they said, hey, like, let's do a crossover.
Yeah.
So it's funny because, this isn't a Castlevania game, but it's like, damn, I kind of wish it was. It's really good. It's like a roguelike.
You kind of wish it was the Metroidvania as opposed to a roguelike. Yeah.
It's really good though. Like I'm still chipping away at it. I put in maybe like 5 to 6 hours. Maybe I should just lower the difficulty, get to the end.
Is it a completely separate campaign?
No.
Okay.
I think that's one of the only things that it's not a criticism against Dead Cells because I get they integrate everything into the base game. But like when you start a run, you still start in that same original area that like those
the dungeon.
The dungeon, yeah. And then you have to find a set of stairs leading down to this area that you see I'm playing through now, like the ramparts of the castle, or leading to the castle. So it's just like it would be cool if from the get-go I could walk out the dungeon, see a door, and it's like, enter for Castlevania specific.
But you have to play a portion of that opening dungeon just to get to
even halfway through, like I know part of the way to reach, I haven't quite done it yet, but I know to reach Dracula's castle you have to go through the clock tower, which was an area in the original game itself.
Yeah, I remember the clock tower. Interesting. That's a strange format. Like I would have expected maybe the opening to be in an original Dead Cells area, but then you go through a door. It's like, cool, now you're in the Castlevania section.
Yeah,
but for it to like bounce back is kind of strange.
It goes back and forth between the two. So I mean that's one thing I was like, I'm not a big fan of that. It would have been cool to just have exclusive, here's Castlevania mode. But that said, the parts that are, part of the DLC are real good. There are some returning enemies, there are some new enemies, obviously. And of course there are a load of new weapons from Castlevania, and the ones I've discovered at least are really fun to play with. Like you get the Bible, you get the cross, you get a whip that you can it's switch between modes. It's like you can have it as a sword and then transition to a whip, which is really cool.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like a combination of Richter and Alucard, essentially.
Yeah. Although I think
Alucard's
weapon must be here somewhere, because every time I see him before I start a run, he's like, "Has anyone seen my sword?" I'm like, okay, it's somewhere. I need to
apparently you can get. I don't know if you can play as him or if you get a costume that looks exactly like him.
So you get a load of costumes, and I imagine he would be one of them.
Yeah, like that black and yellow cloak that he wears.
I have seen that there is a mode which I also haven't figured out how to do, but you can play as Richter. Like there's a separate mode specifically where you play as him.
Interesting.
Which is quite cool. Yeah, I need to keep digging to figure out how to do that. But yeah, I love Dead Cells by default. So just having an excuse to come back and just play and discover new stuff has been really, really nice.
Nice. I've been, for some reason, very tempted to play more Castlevania just in general. Like I know the Steam sale just ended, but I nearly bought like that collection of the old Castlevania games, like the action adventure ones that are really difficult. So
that would be really good on Steam Deck,
I think so too, but I don't know if I have the patience for those. They're like notoriously difficult, like Rondo of Blood and the original Castlevanias. So, but yeah, maybe I should just play Symphony of the Night again, because that's the actual Metroidvania. That was like the Metroidvania one. The others aren't really Metroidvanias. So
I would not say no to a remake of
Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But a remake like that still keeps it 2D. I think
100%.
It being 2D is very important to the structure of that game. But like a complete reimagining of like visually and maybe just expanding on the levels and the combat. I 100% like Konami make that game, even though they never fucking will. But
make it happen.
Yeah, I mean Koji Igarashi kind of tried to do that with Bloodstained.
Yes.
Which isn't apparently as good, but still kind of like a Symphony of the Night like. So, yeah. Maybe I should just play that.
just play it or just play this. It's basically
listen. I have hovered over the buy button on that game on that expansion multiple times already, and
just for the music alone, man, it's really good.
I might actually just do it. Fuck, I don't need to. I've got 70 games to play, but I want to.
Just do it. Cool. That is Castlevania. Well, Return to Castlevania, the Dead Cells DLC / expansion playing